all we can do is expose them for what they are, and hopefully the American people will wake up.
Well, this really hit home for me, and I've talked to the county that Pittsburgh is in. You grew up there. What's the name of the county?
Allegheny.
Yeah, Allegheny. And I talked to the police officer. We got his name. My guys were trying to interview the military and trying to ask him, because there's 2,500 of them there, including regular Army and Air Force, along with National Guard. They said, man, we speak to your public relations officer. And they said, no, we're not going to talk to you. Get out of here. And they followed him, got their license plate, and then called up posing as the rental car company. The police department did. And then when they told them who they were, the police officer switched gears and said, well, you're now on terror databases. You'll never get off of it. Laughed at them. And my employees are freaked out. These are just camera guys I've hired. And I called the police officer and I said, did you really do that? And he said, yeah, I did that. He thought it was funny to ruin people's lives.
Yeah. No, that's pretty bad. We don't know how many's doing that, but people enjoy doing that. They get this sense of superiority and they have this power, but it's sort of pervasive throughout the system. Anybody that has this power, I mean, IRS agents love it, and they just like to lord it over other people.
But people of true worth, like yourself, are incredibly humble. I wish we could get these control freaks to realize how fulfilling it is to be good.
I hope we can convert some people. I think the true satisfaction in life comes from, being productive, producing something of worthwhile, and being able to take care of oneself. But most people, we're oriented towards saying that the only way that you can be moral and upright is to have a welfare state to make sure everybody's taken care of. Steal from one group and give to another. But I believe true satisfaction for individuals comes from work, hard effort, and the satisfaction that you can take care of yourself and your family, regardless of whether you're very wealthy or not wealthy, but you maximized your abilities. Today we do everything to de-emphasize the use of our abilities to assume responsibility for ourselves.
Well, they want us dependent so they can control us, the classic sharecropper system.
Right. 2
final questions. We're going to let you go, Congressman, and we admire you, and we're praying for you in the hearings tomorrow. In closing, tell us about In the Fed, the new book coming out, and please give us your take on when you believe the dollar will die.
Well, on the dollar, I don't know. Nobody knows exactly when. Could come any time, but my guess is going to be a couple more years yet.
And it'll be devastating?
I really do. I think that's going to be a very bad time, a lot worse than what we've seen so far. And it's going to be, that's when there's more likely to be riots in the street because people are going to be very, very angry. They're already angry, but they'll get much angrier. I just hope they can direct their attention the right way. And the Fed has been out for a week, and it's doing pretty well. The best vote for our movement is to buy a book because it's a political vote on this. The more books you sell and the more you show up on the New York Times list, the better off it is. And just as a set-aside, I do not take personal benefits from this. This book was donated to the Free Foundation, so I can push the sales of this book not for personal gain. But it is a vote. It is a vote in many ways. If we can get it up to number 1, which the revolution was for a short period of time, it will be noticed. It will be noticed. So buying 1, 2, or 3 books that are not all that expensive will be a vote that sends a message to a lot of people.
And you're not taking personal gain. I've read the book. It's incredibly powerful. It is a manifesto against tyranny. Folks, get In the Fed. Even if you know all about it, buy 20 copies. Give it to friends, family, neighbors. You can go to Amazon, bookstores everywhere. Where are some other places they can link through and get it? Where's the best place to buy it, Congressman?
Well, I imagine the best price is probably Amazon. But you can go to, campaignforliberty.com, too, and get it through there. I'm sure it'll be available for a lot of websites. But right now, the quickest way to get it recorded is Amazon.
In the Fed by Congressman Ron Paul, climbing up the top charts. Sir, we have 30 seconds left. Final comment.
All I know is that we're making progress, and I am very pleased. I just hope we can continue this way. And if we do our job, we can win this, but we live in very dangerous times.
God bless you, sir. Godspeed, and say hi to Carol and the rest of the family, and say hi to Wayne and everybody for us. And again, we'll see you next time.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chairman Ranaki, I'm looking at the report that you handed out this morning, and I was wondering if you could take your copy and turn to page 26.
Okay.
There's a table on page 26 which consists of your balance sheet, and one of the entries on the balance sheet is under assets, central bank liquidity swaps, which shows an increase from the end of 2007 from $24 billion to $553 billion in change at the end of 2008. What's that?
Those are swaps that were done with foreign central banks. Many foreign banks are short dollars and come into our markets looking for dollars and drive up interest rates and create volatility in our markets. What we have done is, with a number of major central banks, like the European Central Bank, for example, we swap our currency, dollars, for their currency, euros. They take the dollars, lend it out to the banks in their jurisdiction. That helps bring down interest rates in the global market for dollars. And meanwhile, we're not lending to those banks, we're lending to the central bank. The central bank is responsible for repaying us.
So who got the money?
To financial institutions in Europe and other countries.
Which ones?
I don't know.
$500 billion, and you don't know who got the money?
The loan went to the loans go to the central banks, and they then put them out to their institutions to try to bring down short-term interest rates in dollar markets around the world.
Well, let's start with which central banks got the money.
There are 14 of them, which are listed I'm sure they're listed in here somewhere.
All right, so who actually made that decision to hand out $1 trillion that way, $500 billion? Who made that decision?
The Federal Open Market Committee.
Okay, and was it done at one time or in a series of meetings?
A series of meetings.
And under what legal authority?
We have a long-standing legal authority to do swaps with other central banks. It's not an emergency authority of any kind.
Anything specific about it?
Do you know my counsel says Section 14 of the Federal Reserve Act.
All right, we actually looked at one of the arrangements, and one of the arrangements is $9 billion for New Zealand. That works out to $3,000 for every single person who lives in New Zealand. Seriously, wouldn't it have been better to extend that kind of credit to Americans rather than New Zealanders?
It's not costing Americans anything. We're getting interest back, and it comes back. It's not at the cost of any American credit. We are extending credit to Americans.
Well, wouldn't it necessarily affect the credit markets if you extend $500 billion in credit to anybody?
We are lending to all U.S. financial institutions in exactly the same way.
Well, look at the next page. The very next page has the U.S. dollar nominal exchange rate, which shows a 20% increase in the U.S. dollar nominal exchange rate at exactly the same time that you were handing out $500 billion to foreigners. Do you think that's a coincidence?
Yes.
All right, well, the Constitution says no money shall be drawn from the Treasury but in consequence of appropriations made by law.
This money is not drawn from the Treasury.
Well, let's talk about that. Do you think it's consistent with the spirit of that provision of the Constitution for a group like the FMOC to hand out $500 billion to foreigners without any action by this Congress?
Congress approved it in the Federal Reserve Act.
When was that?
Quite a long time ago. I don't know the exact date.
100 years ago?
The original act is 1914, I believe.
I don't know whether this provision was in 1914 or not, but the Federal Reserve Act was in 1913.
All right, and at that time, the entire gross national product of this country was well under $500 billion, wasn't it?
I don't know.
Is it safe to say that nobody in 1913 contemplated that your small little group of people would decide to hand out $500 billion to foreigners?
This particular authority has been used.
All right.